Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Gardening with Tammy. It's been a minute since I've been able to put out a video. Fall is coming and I just wanted to bring you guys in to show you some of the things that I'll be growing for the fall and some of the things that you can grow for the fall to get your garden growing. Now, if you're new to my channel, you can go back and watch some of the videos that I started about on how to start a container garden, what I'm growing thus far, as well as some more tidbits in regards to starting a garden. So I'm going to kind of come out here and sit and give you some ideas about what you can start growing in the fall. And again, if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're not, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. So I've been doing a little cleaning up in the garden just to try to get everything prepped for the fall. Now, if you're from Tennessee, in which I am, we're probably entering fall about September the 22nd. I'm pretty sure everyone is too. That was probably like a ridiculous statement, but fall starts September the 22nd. So it's still early enough for you to kind of get in some crops that you may not have thought that you would be able to make, or it's our little cute hummingbird. Some crops that you will be able to use in your garden that, you know, if they're a short variety, like maybe 50 days, you should be able to still grow those. So I'm going to come out here and I'm going to show you some of the things that you can still grow in your garden to get everything started for the fall. Now, again, if you're new to my channel, go hit the like and subscribe button. And if you have not already liked and subscribed, go ahead and do so that you can get the latest information in regards to, sorry, trying to get the camera and everything set up here, growing, so that you don't miss out on anything that I have growing and that I will be growing. And it's a very hot day, so I'll try to, you know, get this going as quick as I can because it is very hot out here. So I just kind of wanted to you know, show you guys some of the things that I'll be growing for the fall and kind of give you some ideas about what you can grow as well for the fall. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump in and start. Again, welcome to those who have not been to my channel before. I am I guess you would say a new gardener, but showing some of the methods that I use that may be able to help you out in growing a garden if you're thinking about growing nutritious food for your family. Now, I know with the whole epidemic that's happening with COVID, a lot of people are starting to grow more and more in their garden so that you can have nutritious food. And a lot of people think that starting a garden is expensive. Maybe when you first start out, it may be a little bit pricey, but as you go along, you'll be able to save some money and growing everything. Now, when I say that is because when you start growing some of your own products, you can, when you harvest them, you can save the seeds. You don't have to go out and buy, you know, all of the stuff that everyone else is buying, like, you know, the containers. You can go to like Home Depot and get, you know, 5-gallon buckets. So you start growing things in those as well. I mean, or some of the items you have around the house, you can grow out of milk jugs if that fits your budget a little bit better. So this video is just basically trying to get everybody to start their fall garden going here. I've got a few messages asking about what can you grow in the fall time and some vegetables that will be hardy for that time. And I'm going to go ahead and jump in now. So there are a lot of things that you can grow in the fall that you probably never thought about that you could actually grow in the fall, because most people say that, you know, spring and summer is your, you know, time to grow. Not necessarily true. So some of the things that I will be growing and that you can too in the fall are leafy greens. So leafy green vegetables are one of those things that, you know, are hardy. In the summertime, it gets a little bit too hot and they start to flower. And what that means is the temperatures get so hot, they become wilted and they'll start growing a flower out the top of them. And that's just because the production stops because of the heat. Doesn't matter how much you water them. It would definitely go to flower, and that's, you know, something that's disappointing, especially if you like, you know, making salads or anything like that. You know, to eat at home. So one of those things that you can definitely grow would definitely be your leafy greens. Now I have a whole, I mean, like more than this, but of course they're not here just yet. But if this gives you an idea of what all you could possibly grow in the fall time, I mean, it's a large amount of things that you can grow. So one of the things I'm gonna start out with is one of my favorites, and it's Swiss chard. Well, my husband says I say it wrong, excuse my southern accent, is chard. So Swiss chard is one of the things that you can grow in your fall garden. Now these are very hardy, they're cold tolerant. As you can see on the pack, if I zoom in, it does say that it's cold tolerant, and it takes about 45 days for it to go to full maturity. And Swiss chard is definitely one of those things that you can get, that you can start in the fall time, and you know, you'll be able to have at least some very healthy greens to start with. Now, so the second thing that I can tell you that grows very well and not well in the summertime is spinach. If you love spinach, spinach is also one of those crops that you can actually grow in the fall time, and they're very hardy in the winter. It can take a little bit of frost, so it's very cold tolerant, and it also, you know, goes to full maturity within 45 days. So think about that. If your kids love spinach, or if you love spinach, definitely something you should have in your fall garden. Now, this right here, kale. Now, it doesn't matter what type of kale it is. I just simply like the bigger variety, and it's just really the dinosaur kale. Now, kale takes about 60 days for it to get to full maturity. However, it's also one of those things where you can go in and you can germinate seeds, and it says on the back of the packet about 3 to 5 days. If you can see that, about 3 to 5 days for it to germinate, and it does very well in the fall time as well as the winter. Now, kale for sure can take a freeze and still be able to harvest from it. Once it thaws out, it just keeps growing. Now, one of the things that I do want to tell you, so in the fall time, a lot of people don't know that when you're growing things in the fall, winter, it takes a little bit more time, so the growth is a lot slower than it would be anywhere else. So like, you know, when the soil is a little bit cooler, it does take a long time for them to kind of come to full maturity, but it definitely will. So I have to take a drink break. It's probably about 90 degrees. Probably not the best time to be doing a video, but honestly, it's the only time that I can do a video. So anytime you're out in the garden and you're drinking, you know, you're in the sun, you need something to drink, preferably water or something that will hydrate you. But you know, I have Gatorade, so I mean, I love Gatorade. Probably not the healthiest choice as far as sugar intake, but it works. So just one moment here. Okay, because I think I'm sitting directly in the sun. So okay, so again, some other choices of lettuce that you can pick. Now, you can do any variety of lettuce that you would want to do. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, iceberg lettuce. It doesn't matter, you know, if it's, you know, just the Bibb butterhead lettuce. It doesn't matter. Leafy green vegetables do really good in the fall and winter time. Now, one of the things that you may want to think of doing when you start these, and I probably should have started off with that first, with it being this hot outside still, do not try to put your greens outside and let them germinate on their own. Nothing wrong with doing that, but by the temperatures being in the 90s and the heat index feeling like it's about 100, they're not going to do as well. Yeah, sure, they will germinate fast, but they probably won't do as well, and they may end up going to flower before you can actually get a good use of them. So just a tidbit for that. So again, I have different varieties of lettuce that, again, like the tango leaf lettuce is really good, takes about 45 days. Gosh, the sun is going kind of over, you know, clouds are coming over and it feels great. So tango leaf lettuce is also one of those. I think I spoke too soon. Sorry, bugs out here. Now, another thing, that you can consider when you're doing leafy greens. Collards. So it doesn't matter what type of collards it is. Collards are one of those things that are very hardy, and again takes about 45 days to germinate, to go to full maturity, and they do well you know, in the winter time. They may not be able to take such a great freeze as kale does, but they'll still work. So, and it's very cold tolerant. So think about adding collard greens to your mix. Now again, some of these things are, again, just lettuce. My daughter and husband like lettuce, so I do a lot of different varieties of lettuce. And so hopping on to another subject, celery. Now celery will kind of do well, you know, in the you know, springtime and everything, but they don't like a lot of sun beaming down on them. So you definitely, if you want to decide to do that before the fall, you may want to find an area that's kind of shaded to do that. But they're very cold tolerant. So celery is also one of those things that you can grow in the fall time, you know, and it takes about, it does take about 100 days. So it does say that on the bag, 100 days. So you can also start it indoors. If any of you have grow lights and you decide that you want to start the process indoors on the grow lights, it would be the best time to do so now. So by the time that you start pulling out your spring and summer crops and get the soil mended, and I'll do another video on how to do that, you'll be able to start implementing some of these already pre-grown. That way, you know, if you have a critter, like we have rabbits that come in and pretty much eat up all my lettuce if I don't watch it, you know, it'll already be established. They kind of like the more tender leaves, but who doesn't, right? So another thing that you can definitely grow is cabbage. So cabbage is one of those things that are very cold tolerant. They do okay in the you know, summer, but it's so hot. You know, you probably want to try to start these, and I have a cabbage over there growing, but it's taking, to me, forever, and it's finally kind of closing up on the head and everything, but it seems like it's taking forever for it to get to the point where it should be. So cabbage is very cold tolerant and fall tolerant. And another veggie that you can start growing in the fall time is cauliflower. So cauliflower does better in the more cooler temps versus the hot, again, because it does go to flower very quickly. So cauliflower is definitely one of those that's very cold tolerant. So if you're thinking about, if you like cauliflower, you can definitely try cauliflower, and it may actually do well. Sorry if there's like a glare or anything. I'm trying to, like, it's super hot out here, so but yeah, cauliflower is definitely one of those things that you can definitely grow. Now, one of the seeds that I don't have with me that does fall into the category of a great crop to grow in the fall and winter is arugula. So arugula does very well in the cooler temperatures. I had some growing, but of course with the temperatures getting so hot, it did start to go into flower, which is bolting, and then it went into flower mode. So whatever I had, I went ahead and harvested and pulled, because it's not going to do well in the temperatures that are like 90 and up. It's just definitely not going to be. Now, one of the things that I do not have growing, mainly because of the time, so asparagus. Asparagus are, you know, it's one of those things that can take cold, that you can start in the fall. Now, the thing about asparagus that a lot of people may not know, if you love us, sorry, just try to fly my ear. If you love asparagus, then asparagus is definitely one of those things that you could definitely grow, and it does take, it's cold tolerant. But the thing about asparagus is that it takes about 2 to 3 years for it to fully be established, so that you can go ahead and, you know, start harvesting from it. Now, the first year that it actually starts growing, you definitely do not, you know, want to kind of, I guess that they would say, is let it go to within a 2 year and then start trimming it. So you definitely don't want to harvest within the first year. Now let's move on to herbs. So herbs, you know, there's a lot of different herbs that you can grow in the fall time to where it would actually do well, and I think that parsley is one. So I had some parsley growing, and it got so hot, and it just didn't do as well as I thought it would do. So parsley is definitely one of those that can take a cold, and it's maybe, you know, on the lines of it says 50 days here, but I mean like 45 days to 50 days for it to be in full mature growth. You can harvest from it. So parsley, definitely one. So if you like to cook fresh, put fresh ingredients, try parsley. Now another one, I don't know about you, but I love cilantro. I can eat cilantro every day if I could. So cilantro is one of those things that falls into the category of it does not like the heat. So I had cilantro growing, harvested a lot of it, and you know, the hotter it got, the more flowers that would come out in the afternoon, and I would see that it would be producing. So definitely something that you can kind of start growing now, and maybe before the frost actually gets here. You know, it can, like last year I had some growing. Now I took a decent you know, cold. It, you know, didn't grow as fast, but I was still able to harvest off of it. So cilantro, if you you know, cilantro fanatic like me, then definitely try cilantro. So moving on, there are so many things that you can grow in the fall. This is just you know, my few that I will be starting here soon. So another one, Brussels sprouts. So if you like Brussels sprouts, definitely try Brussels sprouts. It's cold tolerant. It probably takes about, I'll say about 70 days for it to mature. And then, you know, sorry, and on the packet, where, you know, you can start harvesting from it. Now, my sister would kill me, but every time I think about Brussels sprouts, I always think about her. So Terica, this is for you. Try Brussels sprouts. You know what, she hates Brussels sprouts mainly because a lot of people can't tolerate Brussels sprouts because of it does give you a lot of gas. So, you know, she could not take it, and she thought she was having a heart attack. So that's why heart attacks aren't funny. It's just how she described it was hilarious to me. So anywho, Brussels sprouts, don't kill me, Tarek, I just thought it was funny. Brussels sprouts is definitely one of those things that you can, you know, try to where they would take a good cold. Also, moving on, and I'm getting attacked sitting here. Apparently I'm sitting in the fire zone, which I'm sitting in the bed that has my squash plants in, so apparently I'm disturbing the bugs, mainly the flies. Artichoke. If you like artichoke, artichoke is definitely one of the things that you can grow in the fall time that would be pretty hardy enough to take cold. So on the back of the packet, it does state that it takes about 120 days to 180 days for you know, artichoke to actually go to full maturity. But definitely say you should try it, and you know, go ahead and get some growing under your grow lights if you have grow lights at home. If you don't, it's still warm enough out here where you can kind of put them like in a windowsill or something like that if you have a sunny area for it to start sprouting. All right, so one of my one of my favorites, broccoli. I would think I would take cauliflower over broccoli any day. I don't know why, I just like the taste of it. I mean, they're similar, but I still like the taste of it. Sorry if I'm frowning, it's like beaming hot out here. And in a minute I'm gonna have to take another drink so I can stay hydrated. Broccoli. Now it doesn't matter which type of broccoli that, you know, you decide to grow in your garden. The only reason why I got this is because I have a very picky teenager that doesn't really like to eat veggies, and I thought this would be cool for any parents, you know, have kids that may not want to eat broccoli. Try broccoli, and try the it's called the purple sprouting broccoli. So what it does is, of course, it grows purple. When you cook it, it does turn green, so you can add it as in a little magic trick to get them to eat their veggies. So broccoli is one of the things that you can grow in the fall and winter time that would do very well, and takes about maybe 60 days to full maturity. Yeah, about 60 days to full maturity, so that you know, you can get the little ones to eat broccoli. Again, you can say, hey, you want to do a magic trick? I got a magic trick. You grow purple broccoli, cook it, it turns green. It's like, oh my gosh, I know it's pretty lame, but hey, anything to get the kids to eat their vegetables, right? So moving on. Now this is one of my my favorites. It took me to be the age that I am to realize that I like this particular crop, and I must say that I kind of like the tanginess of it, and that is radish. Radish is a very cold tolerant. So normally when you try to grow radishes in the hot summer months like this, don't get me wrong, they'll germinate. They'll, you know, work for you, but the issue that you're going to have is the top going into seed. So let me explain to you what that means after I take a drink here, because it's beaming. I mean, like beaming. All right, I'm getting attacked by bugs and my hair is swelling, and it's like, woohoo! Anything for gardening, right? So radishes. Now radish, when I say it goes to flower, goes to seed. Anytime you have any type of vegetable and then the weather is extremely hot, what normally happens is the top of the bulb, and I think I have, I don't know if I have it right now, but what happens is the top of it goes into flowering mode and it stops the production. It goes into, you know, sprouting flowers. The flowers, of course, you know, have the seeds, so it goes into that production. Well, if you allow it to do that, it changes the flavor. Crazy, huh? So anytime that you have, like, it can be basil, it can be, you know, lettuce, whatever, it can be radishes, you know, it will change the flavor of the actual fruit, so, or, you know, the vegetable. So that's the reason why a lot of people tell you to pinch the flowers, because it will give a bitter taste to it, something that a lot of people don't like. If you like that taste, then let it flower. But anywho, getting back to radishes. So radishes take about, depending on the variety, this one is called the early Scarlet Globe radish. Believe it or not, it's only 22 days. So a lot of people like eating these in their salad, and it only takes about 22 days. You can think about, you can do a whole roll, and, you know, you'll be ready to eat them in less than a month. And I think it's a spider on my camera. Definitely don't want to bring that back in the house. So radishes. All right, so another one. Now, I did start some of these in the summer, and they did very well. I also started some early back in this bed here, and I don't see any because it's too hot. Carrots. Carrots are very cold hardy. Actually, this would be something that your kids would probably like as well, growing carrots. So the cold, I know I sound like a complete nerd. I don't care. The cold, the way that it works is, the longer you keep the carrot in the ground, the sweeter it becomes with the cold. So think about that. So if you're trying to get your kids to eat carrots, grow them, let them stay in there for a minute. The longer they're in there, the sweeter they get, so they'll be more prone to actually eat them. So carrots is definitely cold hardy. Is one of the things that you can actually grow. Now, here's another tidbit that you may not know that will do well in the fall time and winter. Bunching onions. Bunching onions do pretty well. You know, you can start them inside again to help them germinate, because it is kind of, you know, hot out here. You can start them indoors. You can start, you know, direct sow outside. It just depends on, you know, what you're looking for. So it's definitely one of those things that you can grow, and they're very cold tolerant. Now the growth process of them won't be as fast as it would be in the actual sun, you know, warmer temperatures, but it will still germinate. So another thing, any other form of onion as well would do well in the actual winter time. It's cold tolerant. This particular variety takes about 64 days. Certain onions take about 110 to 120 days, depending on the variety. So, but this particular variety that I got from my gardener takes about, you know, 64 days. So it's probably about the same as broccoli. So you can sprinkle some seeds. It is very hot out here, so it may not do as well right now. Sorry, it's like a gnat party happening here, and I just don't want to be in the middle of them zooming around my head. So onions. All right, so the last two things that I will be growing that I want to tell you, if you have not ever tried them, try it. and that is peas. Now, peas are another thing that, again, I never thought that I would actually like, because growing up I used to get in trouble for not eating the peas because I didn't like the way that they taste. And honestly, they weren't fresh peas, they were out of the can, so that may be another reason why I was like, yeah, I don't want to eat that. Peas take about 70 days. They're cold tolerant. They do really well. And it may actually be something that you can get your kids to eat. This particular variety, I mean, it's okay, not my favorite, but you know, peas is definitely one of those crops that you can grow, and you'll be harvesting so many, you'll be saying, I don't want any more peas. Last but not least, by far my favorite pea that I have grown. Normally when I grow this particular pea, they never make it in the house. I normally just, you know, pick them and wash them, and then I'm just walking around snacking on them. I honestly couldn't even tell you what they tasted like fresh out the garden being cooked, because I eat them raw. Just walk around the house eating them raw, and it's so good. If you're having a problem with your kids eating peas, I would recommend that you try this particular variety, sugar snap peas. So the sweetness within this pea is enough to get your kids to eat them. So they're cold tolerant. They do not like the hot weather. I know, because I was growing some and disappointed, because the heat from the sun cooks the actual plant. So you would see brown leaves, it would start to die off. It's more so like a cold tolerant actual veggie. So it takes about 65 days, and I'll show you exactly what the actual seeds look like. Just, again, trying to get in my ear. I don't know what's so special about my ears. Anyway, this is what it looks like. This is about the size, and when it takes off, it takes off. So you can plant, you know, 2 or 3 plants, and you'll have enough peas to last you this year and next year. But very good, very sweet. You can actually, you know, eat these right off the vine. The sweetness within them is something that I don't think I would have ever experienced if I hadn't said, you know what, maybe I do like peas. And I actually like peas. So sugar snap peas, grow these if you're having a problem with your kids eating peas. You do not have to take them out the pod. You simply pick them. If you want to wash them or not, your choice. You can pick them and just start biting into them. They are so sweet. You can disguise them as candy. Kids will eat them. So that is all that I have as far as the veggies that I am starting for my fall garden. You know, again, I've kind of gotten some messages about, you know, from individuals elsewhere asking, you know, what is a good crop to grow in the fall time. So hopefully that is a big enough variety for you so you can understand exactly what you can and cannot grow in the fall. One thing for sure you cannot grow in the fall is what you've already started growing in the spring and summer. Definitely cannot. It will go into frost mode with the weather will start to frost, and then it would definitely not do well. So if you're going to plant something now, we have up until the 22nd of September for fall. Let's just say if you want to plant a round of cucumbers. I think in Tennessee, the first official start date, I think it's like October the 30th. So you kind of need to, if you're going to grow anything, it needs to be less than 2 months if you're trying to get another round or something. So 9 times out of 10, like I just pulled a bunch of my beans. If the variety says 45 days, then you can stick them in the ground now and still get a crop out of it. But this isn't what that video is about. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to me go on and on and on about a garden. If you're thinking about starting a fall garden, those are some options of the items that you can grow in the fall. If you enjoyed this video, if it was you know, informative for you, just hit the like and subscribe button. I really appreciate any any feedback is great feedback. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm about to go in the house because I have on a black shirt in the summertime, and it's, you know, not serving me the way that it's supposed to. I want to show you this before I do get you guys off the channel or stop the recording, when I was telling you that some of the items that will go to bolt. And what I mean by that, in flower, I had some lettuce growing here, and this is what it looks like. This, it is went to flower. So that's what it looks like. Of course, I'm not going to do anything with that. More than likely, I'm going to pull it and not do anything with it, mainly because yeah, I think I have enough stuff going on here. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm gonna see if I can spin you back this way. Maybe you'll be able to see me a little bit better because of the sun. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to me go on and on and on about starting a fall garden. I hope this was very helpful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to send them back out that way, and I'll answer what I can for you. But thank you so much for tuning in and listening with me. Thanks for coming to my channel, Gardening with Tammy. You guys be safe out there. Put on a mask. Don't put on a mask. Get vaccinated. Don't get vaccinated. Don't get upset with me for saying that. Your choice, right? However, just stay safe out there, whatever you choose. Thank you so much for joining in with my channel, Gardening with Tammy. You guys have a great day.